What called you to become a coach and a healer? Well, I'm here to talk about you and what is your story. Your story and your life experiences are the key factors that make you good at what you do. I don't care how talented you are or how educated you are. It's your story and the things that you've gone through, the challenges that you've faced, the failures you have lived through, the traumas you have walked through, and the hardships that you have endured. These are what make you good at being a coach and healer. Yes, your compassion is important. Your love of humanity is important. All of those things are very important, but they aren't what make you a good coach and healer. What makes you a good coach and healer is your understanding at a cellular level, at a visceral level of exactly what your clients are going through. So if you are someone who had a low self-esteem as a child, then you doing the work to take your experience and turn it into a method is going to make you more qualified than somebody who had a high self-esteem as a child and who is learned about self-esteem from reading books and going to school and getting a PhD. The key is to do the work to turn your experience into a method, and that's what we're going to talk about today here on the Spiritual Business Hour with Crystal Lynn Bell. My name is Crystal Lynn, and I'm really happy that you've joined me. If you are live on Facebook or YouTube, if you're in our group, please in the comments type #live. And if you are watching the replay, please type in #replay. That's incredibly helpful for me. It lets the algorithm know that people actually care about this content. I know I'm not the only person here who cares about the content. All right, guys. Here's something though that as I was preparing for today, I had to remember that I actually turned away from the spiritual community at large because they were trying to sanitize who they are and the experiences they had, which in my opinion is spiritually bypassing. So there are a lot of coaches and healers out there, and they like to kind of act like they are holier than thou. It's an attitude of, I'm above all the challenges that I've gone through. I'm above all this. I'm above all that. And don't get me wrong, I do believe that they have done some of their work to help them deal with their past issues. But to say I'm above it, a lot of them are saying it with so much hostility that it's showing that they aren't really above it. They have just kind of squashed it down and they are ignoring it. And to me, that's not actual healing. That is a coping mechanism. And to not understand the difference between true healing and a coping mechanism is not as evolved as the community tends to think. Coping is not healing. Coping is coping, and coping can be really good. Okay, being able to cope. If you are a young person who's living in an abusive home, you have to learn how to cope. You don't always have somebody who's going to step in and fix things for you. Okay, so You got to cope. But as adults, we don't have to cope with anything. We have to cope with physical disease. Okay, we've got to cope with that while we're in the process of healing it. You know, you might have to cope with cancer. You cope with cancer, though, while you are in the process of doing the healing treatments, the healing methods to help you actually heal. But in the meantime, you cope. Coping is a meantime strategy. If you're a spiritual coach or a healer right now, you don't want to be always in a state of coping. You want to be in the process of healing. And yes, healing can take years. Nothing wrong with that. But again, it's just about understanding and calling it what it is. If you are in the state of coping with your trauma because you couldn't quite get to that healing point at this particular point in your life, nothing wrong with it. Own your coping. Spiritual bypassing is bypassing, okay? And it creates cognitive dissonance in you, but it also creates cognitive dissonance in um, your viewers, because if you are lying to yourself, you cannot help but lie to the people who are watching you and relying on you to support them. So I want to help you learn how to use your story in a way that actually empowers you and empowers your story. Now, here's the problem, okay? Most coaches and healers are sitting on the most valuable asset in their business, and they're treating it like it's a liability. Their personal history, so the hard seasons, the pivotal moments, those lessons that you extracted from your real life experience, those things all get minimized and edited out of your marketing, okay? Or they're reduced to some, like a single sentence in your bio that barely gets read. These kinds of coaches have been taught to lead with their credentials and hide their story, when in reality, the story is the credential. Your story, your trauma, hardship, the things you've overcome, the way that you have transformed your life, that is your street cred. And when you ignore that and you push it down, the result is a business that sounds like everybody else's, sounds like it came from ChatGPT, okay? And clients cannot be attracted to something that is so generic. Don't get me wrong. Every once in a while, you can get lucky, okay? But when you're talking about establishing a real business that has consistent income and a business that is sustainable, you're going to need to treat your story differently. All right. Today, I'm going to give you 3 steps that will help you turn your story into a methodology. Your personal history is not really just something that should be in the background. Your personal story is the raw alchemical substance of the entire strategy of your business. And here in the Spiritual Business Hour, this week, we're talking about how you and your body, yourself, how you are your own business strategy. So the process of transforming that raw alchemical material, of moving consciously from victim of circumstance to architect of your destiny, this isn't personal development work. It's the work that creates the alchemist. These are the alchemist's materials. You are the alchemist. You are also the strategist. You are the alchemy. You are the strategy. It's not your certification. It's not any course that you've taken. And it's not somebody else's method that you borrowed so that you can try to replicate that and apply it to yourself. And don't get me wrong, you can use another person's techniques. You know, if you go and you get certified by XYZ and they give you techniques to use, yes, 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 and yes. However, you need to apply those methods to your own story. So by the time you're done after a year of using their methods on yourself and on your clients and running it through your own philosophy, that method should be unrecognizable to the person you borrowed it from or that you learned it from. It should be unrecognizable to them because it has been saturated in your own unique story. Okay. Let's talk about the solution. So, my solution is for you to stop treating your story as something to overcome and start treating it as something that you want to mine, you want to excavate. The full moon in Capricorn um, is illuminating this. This is exactly what the full moon is about. It's about bringing in this light of the moon, which is subconscious. Okay. It illuminates what has been sitting in the dark. It makes visible what you have been carrying around subconsciously. Subconsciously. And you probably don't even know it. That's the beautiful thing about it. You may not recognize it. And I say it's beautiful because this is where the work begins. And this is why people need coaches. And this is why coaches need coaches. I need to have a coach. I need to have my own healer. This is why I employ the people I do. So right now, this is the moment to look honestly at your raw material and understand that the alchemy that has already happened in your life, it's like the beginning of your conscious processes of building your business strategy come from that transformed experience rather than in spite of it. And I'm afraid that too many people hold themselves back because they feel like they are dealing with things and they're moving forward in spite of those things. And I'm saying you're moving forward with those things because that is what makes you awesome and badass. That's what makes you awesome and badass. So if you're watching me live, please type in the comments #live. If you're watching the replay, please type in #replay. All right. So let's talk about these 3 steps. 3 steps to transform your story into your strategy. So step 1 is first to identify the raw alchemical material. Look at the significant experiences of your life. Those things that shaped you, that broke you open, those things that fundamentally changed how you see the world. And honestly speaking, you're going to have to do some deep shadow work to uncover those things. It's not going to be about just sitting down and rattling off, the things that you do on a conscious level. You're going to need to go into the unconscious world. And that's what the full moon is for. The full moon is there for you to go into your subconscious mind and look at your stuff. Whatever you're feeling, when that full moon rises, whatever scares you, whatever irritates you, that's your clue. And you use those things as a starting point. The moon is here to help you. So if it's not the full moon, You can still do this anyway. Your spirit guides are always here. Look around. Whatever is triggering you, whatever is bugging you, whoever is bugging you, the way somebody laughs, the way somebody talks, the way they stir their coffee and they clink their spoon around their cup, the way they bang their spoon when they when they're eating their breakfast cereal, okay? The way they chew with their mouth open. I'm telling you all my triggers right now, okay? I'm telling you all the triggers. Those triggers are signposts that are telling you what needs to be transformed, not in the other person. It's not up to you to go up to them and say, hey, you need to stop banging your spoon against your coffee when you stir it, or against your coffee cup when you stir it. You're making too much noise. It's so obnoxious. It's not up to you to go to them and say, uh, can you please close your mouth when you chew? That sound is driving me batshit crazy. It's not up to you to say that to them. All right. It's up to you to feel how you feel inside when you're hearing those noises or seeing whatever's bugging you, and to sit with yourself and move through those emotions that you're having, and not just brush them off and then go attack somebody else. Any memories that you're having, they're not just personal memories. They are the source material for your methodology, for your philosophy, and for your most powerful teachings. So, under the light of this full moon, ask yourself honestly, what have I lived through that my ideal client is currently living through? That intersection is where your business really comes alive. Imagine writing about this yourself and then sharing your stories with your audience. It's amazing what that opens up in them and how much encouragement that brings to you. All right. Step 2, you want to name that transformation. So the alchemical process requires you to identify not just what happened, but what changed as a result. I remember when I was a kid, there was this bank, okay, a bank like a toy, a bank that we had as kids, and it was like from NASA, and it had a moon on the top, and that's where the money was held, and there was a pole that went down, and there was a little like a little rocket at the bottom, and you had to take a quarter and put the quarter in the rocket, and there was a spring. You'd pull it down and then you'd let it go, and it would shoot the quarter into the bank. Shoot the quarter into the bank. Now, my uncle could shoot that quarter into the bank. Boom, pew, and it would go in there, and he would fill up the bank, and it would shoot. But me, nope. Every time I let it go, the money would bounce off the rim and fly across the room. So my uncle would shoot, pew, and it would go in straight and easy. And I would shoot, and it would go pew, and fly off somewhere else. What's hilarious is that my uncle is a master of money, and me, I have to be working hard for my money, okay? And it cracks me up. And the idea of when you are doing this kind of revisiting, it's like, okay, you remember this story, but the key is to understand how it changed you and what it did to you. What was going on in my mind at that time was that for me, money was not easy. It was not easy for me to amass money. Money was crazy. It was wild. So I didn't know how to control it. But my uncle had within him an ease with money. And even today, This man has an ease with money, and money comes to him and he manages it so well. And me, I have to work. I have to set timers to remind me to go sit down and balance my bank account. I have to it's still like so much work. So when you're looking at this, at your past, and you're identifying the issues, understand what was going on. And like, if you're looking at the past, look at how it has affected you in the future. Ask yourself, how am I still serving that mindset that developed when I was a kid? What did you learn from this experience? And keep in mind that learning is not just about the good things that you learned. It's really about the bad things that you've learned too, because that is what's influencing you. What you've learned, both good and bad, is operating in you at a subconscious level. And your job is to understand what's happening with you at a subconscious level and fix it. That's right. Fix it. Because if you have something going on at a subconscious level that is causing you to harm yourself by overeating, for example, or by spending all your money, or by gambling, or by doing drugs, or drinking too much, okay, by not exercising, okay? If you have something like that that's going on, that is doing harm to you, that needs to be fixed. I'm not saying that you need to be fixed. I'm saying that those behaviors need to be fixed. You are not your behaviors. You are the person who is doing a behavior. Fix the behavior, and the person is going to enjoy a better life, better standards, better joy, better opportunities, a better life. All right. What do you now know or see or understand that someone who has not walked your path, that they don't have access to? In other words, what do you know that someone who has not been in your shoes and gone through the things that you've gone through, but they've gone through something similar, what do you know that they don't? There's so many people out there who are, and I need to say that differently. I said it wrong. When most people are not self-reflecting. Most people do not sit down with their journal on a daily basis or on a regular basis and write about themselves and look at their theories and say, this is how I saw things, and this is where I was wrong, this is where I was right, blah, blah, blah. They aren't doing that self-reflecting. Most people don't do that. You can ask them. Most people have no idea of what they're even thinking. That's crazy to me, and it's probably crazy to you. If you're watching this, it's because you're someone who does the self-reflection. But understand that you and I do the self-reflection. We do it so that we teach and we coach so that we can help other people who don't understand that this is a thing. Do you know how I've seen so many people, and they're like, you do what? Like, so what do you do when you journal? Like, what do you do? What do you write about? No, I don't journal. No, I don't have anything to write about. I don't want to hear what I have to say. That's the attitude. I actually had a woman who wanted to be a coach. She came to me, she's like, I feel like I want to be a coach, but I don't know why. I said, well, why don't you write about it and ask yourself? She says, ask myself. I said, yeah, ask yourself. Oh, it was like a new thing to her. And she said to me, Crystal Lynn, do you know that I've never looked at my own thoughts? Like, I've never asked myself why I think the things that I think. So interesting. So interesting. So, this is the process, my friend, that turns lead into gold. Being able to identify clearly what is being converted in your personal experiences, that is that's lead being turned into gold. That's alchemy. So here's the last step, step 3. By the way, if you have not joined the Spiritual Business Hub, you are missing out. There is a cheat sheet which gives you insights and helps you work through the things that we're talking about. This week's cheat sheet is about being your own strategy, your own business strategy. So it's talking about like your experiences, and it's helping you with the things that we have here, that we're talking about here. So if you can, there's a link in the comments. I know there's a link in the comments, and there's a link in the description to join the Spiritual Business Hub. It's totally free to join, and come on in. Come on in here and get your cheat sheet and get the wisdom that I am really, really sharing with you. You need it for your life. You need it for your business. I know you do, because I know what you're going through. I know what it's like to build a business and to be struggling in it. I've been there, but I also have the solution to help get you out of that. So, yeah, join the club. All right. So the third step is to build that bridge. So your story becomes your strategy the moment you build a clear, conscious bridge between what you have transformed in yourself and what you are equipped to help your clients transform in them. So when you do the work to actually be like, oh, I helped myself with unworthiness. I dealt with unworthiness, and I've created some journaling methods and some meditations to help me overcome unworthiness. I'm going to share that with my people, right? So the bridge is your methodology. It should be structured and repeatable, and it's a way to guide somebody else, okay, through their version of the journey that you have already made. It doesn't have to be elaborate, and you really only need to be a few steps ahead of them. I've heard people say you just need to be one step ahead. No, you need to be more than one step ahead. Don't be too arrogant now. Be a couple of steps ahead, because if you're a couple of steps ahead, it means that you've done your own work, to a degree, and you've written it down and you've thought about it. One step ahead means, okay, I just got over this. I'm just going to talk to this person who's behind me, and I haven't really thought it through. I haven't done any research on it, haven't tested it out. No, be more than one step ahead. It might take you a little bit of time, but there's nothing wrong with that. The beauty is in the time that it takes. That's the joy of being a coach. You aren't just blinked into it like, oh, I snapped my fingers and now I'm a coach and I've got all these clients. No, the journey is building the business, building the methodology, building the funnels, building the website, building the social media profile, building your reputation. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay? All right. Ooh, I'm right on time, baby. This is Crystal Lynn Bell, and I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We'll be here. Tomorrow's Wednesday. It's Woo Wednesday. And I was going to have a friend join me. We were going to do money magic, but now we're going to change that because she's got something going on with the throat and chest. So I will be here on Woo Wednesday to talk to you about something woo-woo and how it relates to your business. All right, signing off. Bye for now, friends. Bye. Oh, I better hit this. And boom, that. Bye.